Hello all, this is Chupak Lalit Prem from IARE CSE Cybersecurity Section A, roll number 22951A6216. Today I am going to explain a presentation on simple plagiarism detection in Python. So let's start the presentation. Firstly, let's discuss about the content which is there in the presentation. We are going to discuss today in the presentation about what is plagiarism, a few images related to plagiarism, the common types of plagiarism in detail, how to avoid plagiarism, precautions, and also the main thing. They asked us to code in Python to detect or check plagiarism. So the main important thing is creating or developing a source code for the simple plagiarism checker using sequence matcher from difflib, which is a pre-installed inbuilt library in Python. This is the most important aspect. Let us see about it later. Next, the topic is reference websites for automated detection of plagiarism, and also I'm going to provide a few examples of penalty for plagiarism. Next, I'm going to discuss about the disadvantages, and after the conclusion, we can close it. Let's dive into the presentation. So firstly, what is plagiarism? The practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as one's own is known as plagiarism. For example, we've seen many situations like a few authors. If we take in case, we are going to tell about them and we are going to discuss on them later in detail, but let us just take an example. Like if someone is copying the other's work and they are projecting it as their own, like a recipe or content written from others' book, that is known as plagiarism. It is kind of a criminal offense. Synonyms: copy, piracy, theft, etc. Now, the importance of plagiarism is that it constitutes a branch of academic integrity and represents substandard scholarship. Plagiarism can have lasting impact on the future career, regardless of whether it is intentional or not. The responsibility to avoid plagiarism belongs with the student or researcher. Plagiarism is often taken into consideration when it comes to music, text, content, and many other sectors, and unless it's an accidental plagiarism, it is a criminal offense. This is the main logo. Stop plagiarism. If it's possible, you can do it, but not to an extent that others find out or something of that sort. So doing minor plagiarism by accidental or by means of necessity is okay, but you should actually stop it. Also, here are a few images related to plagiarism. Types of plagiarism to be aware of: global or complete plagiarism, verbatim or direct plagiarism, source-based plagiarism, paraphrasing, mosaic or patchwork. Mosaic plagiarism is one of the most important. Ghostwriting, self-plagiarism, and accidental plagiarism. Unless you do accidental plagiarism, it is a criminal offense, as we discussed earlier. Also, here is an image of another guy who is looking from the desktop beside him and copying the same content, which is really bad. Yeah, that indicates to stop plagiarism. Next, here are the common types of plagiarism in detail. Direct plagiarism. There are actually many types of plagiarism, as we discussed earlier. I told the subheadings. So here are the main common types, which are very important types of plagiarism. First one, direct plagiarism. Direct plagiarism is the word for word transcription of a section of someone else's work without attribution and without quotation marks. The deliberate plagiarism of someone else's work is unethical, academically dishonest, and grounds for disciplinary actions, including expulsion. Next is self-plagiarism. Self-plagiarism occurs when a student submits his or her own previous work or mixes parts of previous works without permission from all professors involved. For example, it would be unacceptable to incorporate part of a term paper you wrote in high school into a paper assigned in a college course. Self-plagiarism also applies to submitting the same piece of work for assignments in different classes without previous permission from both professors. The next type is mosaic plagiarism. As we discussed earlier, it is one of the most important types of plagiarism. So, mosaic plagiarism occurs when a student borrows phrases from a source without using quotation marks or finds synonyms for the author's language while keeping to the same general structure and meaning of the original. Sometimes it's also called as patch writing. This kind of paraphrasing, whether intentional or not, is academically dishonest and punishable, even if you footnote your source. The last common type of plagiarism, the fourth one, is accidental plagiarism. Accidental plagiarism occurs when a person neglects to cite their sources or misquotes their sources or unintentionally paraphrases a source by using similar words, group of words, and / or sentence structure without attribution. Cases of accidental plagiarism are taken seriously as any other plagiarism and are subject to same range of consequence as any other types of plagiarism. How to avoid plagiarism? This is one of the most important aspects when it comes to plagiarism. So let's discuss on this. Use your own words and ideas, and keeping track of the sources you consult in your research would really help you. Also give proper credit for copied, adapted or paraphrased materials of content, because that's the main thing when it comes to this. Avoid using others' work with minor cosmetic changes, such as using synonyms for swapping the words like therefore and thus, reversing sentence order, or changing format or layout of a text, which is really amateurish and also very bad. If you use another exact words, you must use quotation marks. Using a plagiarism checker before you submit would really help you, so that you don't get into trouble when you submit your own work of content but it gets labeled as a copy. Then that would really hurt you. So use a plagiarism checker before it. I've also written a code in Python to check plagiarism by using two different sources. Let us discuss about that later. Now let's come into the precautions. Here is an image which I found in online which summarizes the precautions, what to do and what not to do, and to stop plagiarism. Don't plagiarize, as simple as that. Use a plagiarism checker. Give credit where credit is due. Create original ideas. Run your idea past someone so that just pitch your ideas so that people will accept you and your ideas. And if they feel it is copied, that would help you too. Google your topics. For example, now let us take this as an example. I'm doing this TikToks. I don't know how to write a code completely. I know somewhat, but I have to check the source code from Google and learn from there how did they do, and from there I've developed a code, right? So even while creating this PPT, I can't write everything on my own. So even you, doing plagiarism doesn't mean that you should write everything on your own. Stopping plagiarism doesn't mean that everything should be done by your own. You can also do various things by seeing, by getting inspired, by also you should give credits and sources. So ask by asking permission. Use exact match searches. Plan what you're going to say and ask for feedback. Now let us check the source code which I've written. Now let us check the source code which I have developed. Here is the source code which I have developed. So firstly, I've named two files, 1 and 2 in text files in Notepad. So now firstly, let us use the open command, which is used to bring the data from Notepad. By using difflib, which is an inbuilt library in Python, we are importing the sequence matcher. It is used for comparing different sequences. Now firstly, let us name one txt as file 1 and 2 as file 2 by using open command again. Now I am just taking file 1 underscore data as file 1 dot read so that it could read the data present in the file. And similarly we are doing it for file 2 underscore data also, 2.txt. Now I have taken a variable called similarity, and I have given the sequence matcher, and in brackets I provided none file 1 data and file 2 data and dot ratio, so that it reads the data, it compares them both, and it provides the ratio of the similarity. And in the next line I am printing the statement, the content are, and the similarity is given in the ratio, so I am multiplying it by 100 so that it gives the percentage, and I'm writing the statement, and I have closed the bracket. Now let us see by running it. We click run module, and the result here, the output is the content are 70% matched. Now let us see what's there in the one notepad. I've written hi there. In two.txt I've written hello there. So the content are 70% matched because there is written in both of the txt files, and there's also h present in both of the txt files. The only difference between 1 and 2 is here there is ELLEO and there is I. That's it for the part of code. So it's that simple. You can write a code using me. So you can develop a code using Python to check plagiarism. Now let us check different reference websites for automated detection of plagiarism. Here are a few. You can go and check out them. I will post the link in the description. Suppose plagiarismdetector.net, duplichecker.com, and Grammarly. Grammarly is one of the best anmata. Grammarly is actually one of the good. Also smallcotools.com/plagiarism checker. Also Wikipedia, it's the best source. Also Oxford University, IJIRAE, etc. These are the reference websites, you can check it. Here are a few examples of penalty for plagiarism. In 2002, Professor David Monash, rector of Monash University, Australia, was caught citing a few paragraphs in his books without sources published in 1970s. That would obviously be embarrassing, and his name and the university's name of course matches, so I think he's the owner, I think he was the chairman of the university, but before the university gets bad reputation, he resigned. Similarly, in 2004, Professor Sultan, professor of immunology of Harvard University, which is one of the top universities in the world, was accused of plagiarizing from 4 different papers. Consequently, he was banned from reviewing papers for 3 years. The legal repercussions of plagiarism can be quite serious at times. Copyright laws are absolute. One cannot use other person's material without citation and reference. An author has the right to sue a plagiarist. Some plagiarism may also be deemed a criminal offense, possibly leading to a prison sentence. Plagiarism allegations can cause a student to be suspended or expelled, so we should beware. Their academic record can reflect the ethics offense, possibly causing the student to be barred from entering college or from high school or another college, etc. Schools, colleges, and universities take plagiarism very seriously. So, before we do that, one should be very careful and check their content thoroughly before submitting, and if found guilty, they will be severely punished at times. Next, let us discuss about the major disadvantages of plagiarism. Most of the detection software programs are done with some repository situated in an organization. Other people are unable to access it and verify for plagiarism. Some software asks us to load a file to their link. The file is copied to their database. This will cause our data to be leaked or hacked for other unethical purposes. Plagiarism detection systems are built based on a few languages. To check for plagiarism with the same software or with the same program which I earlier built can be different. Which I or others which I or built by others can be difficult. As the number of digital copies are going up, the repository size should be large and the plagiarism detection software should be able to handle it, or else that would be meaningless. Here is the conclusion, the last part of our presentation. Plagiarism has become rampant now. To avoid this kind of cheating and to acknowledge the originality of the author, new detection system or techniques are to be developed and created to help our society. Plagiarism prevention methods, which are based on society's change of attitude against plagiarism, without any doubt, are the most significant means to fight against plagiarism, but the implementation of these methods is a challenge for the society as a whole when we take it into consideration. And the next point is, with the most of data being available to us in the digital format, cyber, internet, etc., the venue for plagiarism is being open now, and doubts are being caused quite often when it comes particularly on this topic, and also many other topics. But now our topic is on plagiarism, so I'm talking on this. In the age of information technologies, plagiarism has become more actual and has been turned into a serious problem. To protect the intellectual property, source code, new detection systems or techniques are also to be developed and created so that at the end of the day, we can at least save people from getting their content plagiarized. That's it for today's presentation as we concluded it. So before I end it, I would like to say two words. Thank you.